There's this one question that's been echoing through humanity for thousands of years. It's a question every single one of us asks at some point. Who am I? And today we're going to dive into an answer that isn't just some abstract philosophy. No, this is a practical inner science for understanding ourselves. I mean, it's the question, isn't it? The most fundamental one. Just 3 little words, who am I? And yet they hold the entire mystery of our existence. It really is the starting point for everything. And as soon as you start to pull at that thread, you find even more questions, right? Is the I you're talking about, is it your body? I mean, that thing changes all the time. Or is it your mind, with that constant waterfall of thoughts and memories? Or is there something else, something deeper, that's just quietly watching the whole show? Okay, now imagine asking that question, not sitting in a quiet room meditating, but right in the middle of a massive battlefield, moments before a war is about to break out. That's exactly what a legendary warrior named Arjuna did. He was facing this impossible life or death crisis, and he turns to his guide, Krishna, and basically demands an answer. And look, Arjuna wasn't asking for battle tips. His question was way, way deeper than that. He knew he needed to understand the very structure of his own experience. Because without that clarity, he realized he was just a slave to the total chaos that was about to unfold.
So he gets really specific. He asks about these 2 concepts, Kshetra, which basically means the field, and Kshetrajana, the knower of the field. And Krishna's response is profound. He says that understanding the difference between just these 2 things, well, that's the key to absolute freedom.
All right, so let's really get into this, because this is the heart of Krishna's inner science. He lays out this framework for understanding reality that is just incredibly clear and unbelievably powerful. And the core idea? It's actually beautiful in its simplicity. Just think of your life as a play. The field, that's everything happening on the stage. The plot, the actors, the set design, the drama, all of it. It's everything you experience, and it's always changing. But the knower? Well, that's you. You're the audience. You're the one experiencing the play, watching it all unfold. And you remain fundamentally unchanged by whatever happens on that stage.
So what exactly is this field?
Well, Krishna says it's basically everything you can observe. So your body, that's in the field. It's born, it grows, it eventually dies. Your senses, taking in sights and sounds, part of the field. And here's the really crucial part, your mind is also in the field. Every single thought, every memory, every judgment, it's all part of the show. Same goes for your emotions. Desire, fear, hope, anger, all of it, just scenery and action happening in the field.
And this leads to a super important point.
The field itself, it's neutral. It's not good or evil. It's not right or wrong. It is simply the dynamic, constantly shifting stage where the drama of your life plays out. Which, of course, leads to the million-dollar question. If your body, your thoughts, and your feelings are all just things happening in the field, then who are you? I mean, who is the one that's actually watching all of this? Well, Krishna calls this presence Kshetrajna, the knower. Think of it as the silent, constant awareness that's just observing the field without getting tangled up in it. It's the part of you that's aware of your thoughts, but isn't doing the thinking. It's the part that watches your body age, but is itself totally ageless. And because it's beyond change, it can't ever be harmed. And then, just when you think you've got it, Krishna goes even deeper. He says, look, while each of us feels like an individual knower, like a single separate wave, the actual consciousness that makes all that knowing possible is one vast ocean. We might look separate on the surface, but underneath, we are all one. Okay, so if this neat and tidy distinction exists, then why do we suffer so much? Why do we feel like we're constantly being tossed around by life? Well, Krishna explains that all our pain stems from one simple, fundamental mistake. We confuse the field with the knower. Here's how it happens. It's a simple but really destructive process. First, some emotion pops up in the field. Let's say it's anger. Then, step 2, we make a huge mistake. We identify with it. We don't just notice anger is here. No, we say, I am angry. And in that one instant, bam, the unchanging knower gets fused with a temporary feeling, and our freedom is just gone. We become the storm instead of the sky that's simply watching the storm pass through. And this is such a perfect way to put it. We do this constantly, don't we? We say, I am ashamed, instead of just noticing shame is present right now. We take a temporary event that's happening in our field of awareness and we mistake it for our actual identity. We're literally confusing a passing weather pattern with the sky itself. But here's the good news. If confusion is what causes our suffering, then clarity is the way out. Krishna calls this liberating clarity jnana, which means true wisdom. And this is what paves our path to freedom. And we're not talking about memorizing a bunch of books here. True wisdom, jnana, is a direct, practical, in-the-moment recognition. It's the ability from one second to the next to tell the difference between the field and the knower. It's that aha moment when you realize your thoughts are just weather patterns in your mind, not who you are. Your body is a vehicle, not your true self. What's really cool is that Krishna acknowledges there isn't just one path to this wisdom. We all get there in different ways. For some people, it's through deep study. For others, it's the quiet practice of meditation. Some people find it through selfless action in the world, and others through pure surrender and devotion. The paths might look different, but the destination is exactly the same. Finally seeing that the knower is separate from the field. And this quote really gets to the heart of it all. True peace, that deep, unshakable peace, it comes when we finally get that all the action, all the doing, all the change, it's all happening inside the field, it's all part of nature. Meanwhile, the self, the knower, just remains untouched, unharmed, and perfectly still through all of it. So here's a simple way to think about it. To know the field, to understand how the world works, that's intelligence. And it's super useful, totally necessary. But to know the knower, well, that is the beginning of a true awakening. So let's go back to Arjuna. As he's hearing all of this, the world around him hasn't changed one bit. The armies are still lined up, the threat of a brutal war is still very, very real. This wisdom didn't just magically make all his problems disappear. But the battlefield inside him, that had changed completely. The inner war zone, the one filled with fear and confusion and despair, had suddenly gone quiet. He now understood his relationship to everything that was happening in a radically new way. Because that's what happens, right? When you identify with that unchanging knower, you realize your true self is completely beyond harm. Victory, defeat, gain, loss, all of that stuff happens in the field, but none of it can ever touch the core of who you really are. Nothing truly essential can ever be lost. So Arjuna found his answer. His inner battle transformed into a powerful clarity. And that leaves us with one last question. For you, the battles of your own life, your fears, your anxieties, your confusion, they are all playing out in a field. The only question that matters is, who's watching?